So a bit of radio silence from me over the past month. That's because I was managing a project, which was good timing, I guess. So I just want to take you through some of the outputs of that project, the things that me and my project team developed. We had a job to explain UK cards instalment lending to a whole mess of people. To do that, we needed to help them to understand what a payment hierarchy is, and we also needed to take them through the actual learning on how the customer and how they interact with the computer systems for payment hierarchy. We also did support material, so we did a quick reference guide, a manager's delivery guide, and an installment lending FAQ. So let me just take you through some of our learning solutions. This is our first one. This is a storyline file on the payment hierarchy, which is really important to understand and will have extra benefits for the banks. So we take them through a enjoyable HSBC branded opening script and kind of placing project. Then we've got buttons that activate as they go through the learning, so they'll pop up and be able to be seen as they go through, and they're in hidden state at the moment, which you can see there as we go through the states. So they go through normal and visited and hover, and those change colour, though you can't see it in this particular mode. Then once we've set the scene, we go into an introduction. So why are we doing this? So we do an introduction and background, and then they see this interesting credit card. They give that a click, and that jumps in there. Obviously, when the user would see it, these screens would be animated and slightly more interesting than what you're seeing at the moment. Then again, click the credit card to continue, and we have these cool slidey scroll boxes to tell the people more things. So that's why we use payment hierarchy. Why do we do it? Because the FCA told us to do it. Again, click the sign, and we have more lovely text in our scrolly boxes. And then we have a quick knowledge check. So what did you remember from that? And this course has just quick checks throughout, because this is quite a heavy course in a lot of ways. You don't want a lot of learning checks at the end. Just check throughout, almost as a check-in for the learner, if that makes sense. So they give that a click, and this is again a standard question that I've kind of gussied up there a little bit to make look nice for the learners, giving a splash of colour. So that's our introduction done. So then we break into the actual allocation of funds. We'll take us a little look at that. This is a branching scenario. So the learner could use either of these paths, breakdown or order of payment. We'll look at balance breakdown first. So that, bizarrely enough, went over here. So this just breaks down a customer credit card for the learner into its various different balances and the different interest rates that accrue on different balances. If you're not a banking nerd, you don't care about any of this, but it is important for the learners because it gives them that real breakdown. And then again, just more for the sake of interaction than anything else, this slide just has a bunch of little clicks there which will show make the learning pop up. The learner then goes back to this page, so you'll go back there, you'll hit order payment there, and then each of these will pop through. Again, just making things a little bit more interactive, a little bit more interesting for the learner. So each time they click on one of these, they'll see the text come up there, and then going through, they'll just learn a little bit more about the order that you pay things off. And then we've got a lovely colourful pound to sign things up on. No interactions on these, but these come in slowly in a U shape. So again, just that much more interactive for our learner. Looking forward, then we're into the actual guts of this thing, the actual allocation of payments in your credit card, because it's a real bugbear and causes a lot of complaints at the bank. So this helps our users work out exactly what they should be telling their customers. So again, this takes them through exactly what gets paid first. So they're overpayments first, then the minimum payments, then the monthly instalments on instalment plans, then the rest of the transaction balance, then any transactions that haven't appeared on the statement yet, and then anything that's left goes off the rest of the balance. And it gives them a breakdown, and then we take it up one level there, but with a real takeaway screen there that they can go away and use in the future. couple of bits about instalment plans, because this then segues into our next piece of learning, because instalment plans are brand new to the bank. So we kind of wanted to put a flag on instalment plans because it's new, and it applies more, and it changes what the original payment hierarchy is. So if somebody's been with the bank a while, they understand the payment hierarchy. This is the brand new bit. Actually, it's changing now. So we tell them a little bit about that. So they just click the various signs and bits and pieces come up here. Honestly, when I built this, I made this needlessly complicated for myself, but it all works. I could have done this easier, but by the time I got to this stage, I just wanted to challenge myself a little bit more. So just as I click each one of these, this content comes up for them to learn. Last part of this section is how we handle the customer queries on this, because again, it's something that gets missed a lot. Usual click, and it's just a few bullet points for them to take away. Use plain English, avoid your bank jargon, use real world examples, things like that that will really impact the customer experience, if that makes sense. And then another quick knowledge check at the end of this, which is the right way to go through this, which is the right installment check. So gives them a good click there. And final part of this, so let's jump in there. We give them a whole mess of payment allocation examples. So again, they've seen why we do it. They've seen the theory of this is how it works. Now they're going to do some examples that are based on real world scenarios. So it's they're building that level of expertise through the learning, which is really cool. So again, these all come in once the user clicks continue. So it gives them a bit of a scenario and then asks them a question. Which one of these balances is going to be paid off first? And you can have a correct or incorrect answer there, which is lovely. Moving on to the next one, again, give them another scenario. So in this case, this is a drag and drop scenario. So what they do is they drag the various £100 notes, which we know don't exist, into the appropriate blocks here. Again, just so it breaks up the learning, gives them something to remember, and again, that gives them a right or wrong answer, which is fun. Again, give them another scenario, then we'll ask them questions on it. Same thing here. Give them another scenario, and then what we've got here is type in the amount that's going to get paid off, how much is going to get paid off the purchase balance, how much is going to get paid off of the balance transfer in this particular scenario. Same again with this one, same type of question. So again, it's a different type of question to the ones they've had before. So again, it builds that interaction level and lets them test their knowledge. This is a really big one, so we've got a separate layer here which gives them all the amounts on the statement that they can have throughout, and that button's available to them throughout the rest of the course. So it gives them more and more information, gives them a little breakdown of where things go, and then we have a little reveal section here, so the user would click on one of these different sections and it would each reveal a little bit of information. And after that, exit course and tell them what they've learned. They click the exit button, takes them to a survey. You can see we've got a quick survey icon over here, so it'll click to a survey and close the course. So that's the first one we did, and this is the second, if I haven't bored you too much. This is much bigger, and this is their main learning on installment plans. So again, same sort of welcome you saw before. This is a little bit more basic, visually speaking. Same sort of welcome, learning goals and objectives. This one has your traditional assessment at the end, gives them a whole bunch of stuff to work through, and then you'll see they'll jump into an introduction. They'll work through that. Again, just gives them the background of who eligible customers are for this product. This just gives them, when they click on these different bits, it'll give them little drop downs with more information on it. Tells them about missed payments, the real detail. Our payment hierarchy recap, because they've already done the payment hierarchy. Let's say it again. If it's worth saying once, it's probably worth saying twice. Then jumping on to their next page. So at that stage, they jump back to the contents page and we take them on to their customer journey. So this is mobile screens that we've used. So what we do is we tell them to click on installment plans. If they click on that installment plan hotspot there, that will drop them in here, and what they'd see is these are a bunch of the error messages that your customer might encounter. And these are all, again, real screens, real things that the customers will see. This is how the customer sets things up. So again, we take them completely through the journey and click on that hotspot and it brings them to the next screen, and then they click on these and these bring up different layers. So it's all, it's properly scoped out, all properly interactive. Same with this, they'll click get started right there and it will jump them into this screen, at which stage we tell them, okay, pick the transactions you want to put in an installment plan. They click the hotspot there and it brings them to that screen there. You'll notice that that has now filled itself in, and we tell them click that one there and that one will have filled itself in, and then we've got our continue button there, which takes them right through the same journey that the customer would use. All of these images have had to be manipulated to put the right data in there. So not only is this building an e-learning, but it's also an awful lot of imagery building using things like Snagit and stuff like that, to make the thing run right and look right, which is really important. So an example of that screen there has been redone with the name at the top of it, and this screen here has been redone. All these figures have been redone, but you can't tell the difference between that and the original. So that's a customer journey. So then they learn their what buttons they're going to press in the really real world. We take them through a couple of instances of customer service. Then we run them through the actual screens they're going to see. So these are their real system screens. You probably can't see this in a lot of detail, but trust me, it's all genuine. You'll notice that we just take them through the different bits. And again, these are real screens, properly scaled and stuff like that, with interactions embedded within them, which then leads them along the path we want them to take. So if they click right there, that'll bring them to their next screen, which looks to them like it's completely interactive, but actually it's different. It's just different images we're jumping between, and then we teach them a little bit on cancelling, and we get into this in more detail there, but we'll get them to click that cancel button there and that'll bring up that screen exactly how they'll see it in the real world, and then through the cancellation process, and then through their second system that they're going to use. And again, all of these green highlights are all interactive. So they click on that statement button there and it brings up this screen with an actual statement that we rebuilt. And again, a lot of these images here have been redone to look different to how they actually work, so they weren't really suitable for purpose when we built them. Moving on from that, then we talk a little bit about cancelling their installment plans. So again, we take them through a fairly similar journey to the one you've already seen, with, again, more detailed screens for them to use and give them those interactions that they'll use. Fairly similar journey, but it's the main job they're going to do, so it's worth saying it twice. And after that, we'll give them a quick look at an FAQ. So the various sections, they just click on the various sections, it brings them into one of these. When they click on one of these, it brings them in to the various answers to their FAQs right there. So makes things again a little bit more active. Close it out with an assessment. So these are all banked assessment questions. 10 questions in the bank, and only 5 get asked, but it's all set up through Storyline. Onto the ancillary material. So we did them a quick reference guide. This can be used by either branch staff or back office staff, available in PDF formats. So it's literally a one-pager, and it just takes them through the screens that their customers might see, gives them a bit of background, and it's almost a takeaway from the e-learning, which is quite good. To allow the managers to support, we've got a manager's delivery guide, which lets them ask the appropriate questions from the various e-learnings, take them through in order. These are the things that your people will learn. These are the things that you should ask them to make sure they've understood. So it lets the managers support, which is quite useful. It means that the team members aren't doing the work in isolation. The managers know what the team members have actually learned. And last but not least, we've got an FAQ that we did for them for free. This is an interactive FAQ. Again, when our learners are on the phone and they just need to know a quick answer to the question, what they don't want to do is have to scroll through loads of pages and things like that. All they want to do with this really simple document, these are all the questions they can possibly ask. Find the question that's appropriate to you, click the button, and it drops you into the question there. Finish with that question, want to ask another one, click the back button, and it brings you back to your front screen. So it's a really easy, quick way of our learners, getting that information, getting the things handy for the customers, and reinforcing the learning. So that's about it for me. Thank you very much for listening, and goodbye.